How's it going, everyone? It's Ollie for Morris Watch 1000. Today is January 20th, 2021, and today we're going to focus on the potentially major Midwest and Northeast winter storm that could dump up to a foot of snow if everything goes right and if this computer model is right. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. So let's begin by first taking a look at the GFS model. And as you guys could see on the GFS forecast model run, you see that there's a large area of snow extending through the Great Lakes, and this extends even as far south as the Mid-Atlantic. And we're even seeing a little bit of ice right around Pennsylvania, which could raise the issue of maybe this could be a freezing rain threat for some of you guys, especially since there's going to be a lot of convergence in this area. There's going to be a lot of the warm air in the mid levels trying to filter in to the cooler air parcel, and as a result, that creates freezing rain concern from this storm. However, look at the forecast hour. We're still very uncertain with this, but you see that the computer model has pretty much been leaning towards some sort of low pressure system moving through the United States, and the European agrees with it. However, in terms of the position of the low pressure and in terms of the timing of this storm, it still has yet to be seen, and there's still a lot of uncertainty when it comes to that. So while it's pretty much guaranteed we're going to see some sort of snowstorm in the Northeast and Midwest, it's still uncertain how much snow you'll receive in a given area, or if you'll even experience any sort of snow at all. And also the timing is definitely uncertain at this point, since the computer models are pretty much have a large gap in terms of where they put the storm within a given day, where in the GFS model, 6 days from now, 144 hours from now, it's off the coast of the Mid-Atlantic, while for the European 144 hours from now, it's still deep in the Midwest, closer to the Southeast. So there's definitely a big, huge gap disparity when it comes to the position and timing of this. But let's first begin by taking a look at the GFS model, and then we'll analyze what factors could potentially change the track of the GFS model and what could potentially make this a bigger storm, and how this compares to the European. So let's begin right around 48 hours from now. So this is 2 days from now. This is the low pressure we need to keep track of, because this will be the same piece of energy that will move into the West Coast and then eventually strengthen as it hits an unstable atmosphere. So as this storm continues to move southward, you see the low pressure move southward as well. And it's as a result of this past low pressure system that moved through the eastern half of the United States. Since this low pressure system moved towards the southeast, there were very strong northwest winds along with it, because there was a little bit of a ridge located in the Midwest, and as a result, that just created very strong northwest winds that brought all the Arctic air further south, forcing that jet stream to take a bigger dip into the United States, which is the reason why this low pressure system right off the Northwest Pacific is going to move southeastward and then eventually eastward straight along the midpoint of the United States in terms of latitude. So here's the low pressure around just before the 4-day mark, and you see there's a lot of snow throughout the Rocky Mountain ranges. So I would say in Oregon, California, and a lot of the Rocky Mountain ranges, especially in the higher elevations, watch out for potentially a major snow potential, because this storm is going to be stronger than a lot of other Pacific Northwest storms you're going to experience, because it's going to have a lot of strength with it. But moving forward, you see that it enters an area where there's a little bit more instability. We see a slight dip behind it. Take a look at the 540 contour line, and if you don't know what the 540 millibar contour line represents, it pretty much represents a line that separates freezing temperatures from non-freezing temperatures in the south of the 540 millibar contour line. And you see there's a big dip in this contour line headed into the 4 to 5 day mark in the western half of the United States. And this is going to induce a lot of instability for this storm, and it's going to create a area of convection just to the north of it. And since there's going to be strong southerly winds with this storm, since there's going to be a ridge dominating the eastern half, close enough in proximity to this low pressure system, there's going to be a lot of warm, humid southern air that's going to be forced towards the north. And once it encounters the much colder temperatures of the Arctic temperatures, then all that water is going to be forced to rise up, because obviously when the denser, cooler air attempts to filter into the lighter, less dense air, it's going to force that less dense air upwards. It's pretty much the same thing as oil and water. When you put oil in water, the oil is going to sink and forcing the lighter water upwards, because the water is obviously lighter. It's pretty much the same thing, just in terms of different. It's pretty much the same concept, just different. It's applied differently in weather, obviously, where it's air molecules rather than water and oil, but it's pretty much the same concept where a lot of the precipitation and a lot of that warm, lighter air is going to be forced upward, and along with that lighter air mass comes a lot of water vapor, and it's going to force to be condensed, and we're going to see that a lot of convection on the northward side of this storm. As you see, the snow band really begins to form headed into the 3-day mark right around Saturday, which affects the Dakotas. However, it will be the worst once it reaches the Great Lakes, where there's going to be a lot more convection and an upwards motion in the atmosphere to force a lot of precipitation to occur, and rapid precipitation at that, where we could see snowfall rates even heavier at times. So continuing to move forward, we're past 4-day mark and now approaching the 5-day mark. You see that there's a lot of cold air still on the backside. There's a pretty big dip in the jet stream on the backside of this storm, and we're seeing just a lot of snow extend through the Great Lakes, and this snow could be heavy at times, especially later during the run headed into a 5-day mark, where the convection increases even further thanks to another dip in the jet stream, and this will eventually move to the northeast around 6 days from now, right around Sunday to Monday, and it should continue to affect the northeast as late as Wednesday in some areas, maybe in Maine, according to the GFS model. Now compare that to the European model, where the European model puts the storm 144 hours from now, which is 6 days from now, still in the Midwest, compared to the GFS model, where the GFS is still taking this storm well further to the east than what the European model is stating. And not only that, I'm noticing the European model is also noticeably stronger than the GFS model, where the GFS model doesn't really go below 1,000 millibars this whole time. The European, by day 6, drops this storm down to 994 millibars, which represents a more powerful storm, and it's capable of dumping more snow and precipitation as a result of that, as pretty much the power of the storm and the amount of precipitation go hand in hand, especially during the winter. So so this could be an issue, because not only is that it's more slow moving, but it's stronger. So there's I would say for the European model, there's a higher potential of a higher and more major snowfall threat for a lot of the Midwest. However, the thing that might prevent the European model from dumping as much snow as GFS is pretty much the amount of cold air that's going to be located in the European model. Because if we compare the two, because this is where the low pressure will be located in 132 hours from now, and you see that the GFS model has plenty of cold air to back it up to change a lot of that rain into snow. However, for the European, it's very far south, and it's relatively far from this Arctic air, so there might not be as much snow as a result of this. However, I still think there will be snow in the upper portions of the United States. I think it's pretty much guaranteed at this point. We're going to see some sort of snow in the Midwest and Northeast, and I would say the extremely northeastern portions of the Northeast and Midwest definitely should prepare for some sort of snow. It might not even hit some areas in the upper United States. That's still definitely a possibility, but in terms of the likelihood of snow somewhere in the Northeast and Midwest, it's pretty much almost guaranteed at this point. The questions we're asking is where and when this storm will occur and how much snow will fall thanks to this low pressure system. So what could change those factors? So one thing that we need to keep in mind is the cold air. Will this jet stream dip down far enough to the point where that rain snow line will be further south? That still has yet to be seen. And also, will there be enough instability, like GFS model is saying, to speed up the winds of the jet stream and speed up this storm so it won't dump as much snow? The reason why it's moving so slow is because there isn't a lot of unstable air in the atmosphere to really speed up the winds of the jet stream, which is the reason why the European is pretty much making this storm move sluggish through the United States, since the jet stream winds are so weak and it isn't really pushing or accelerating the low pressure fast enough towards the east. So we just need to wait and see how if there's enough unstable air to speed up the storm, or if there's a lack of unstable air to strengthen the storm. And we also need to determine how far south this storm could go, because if it moves further south, then I think it's more likely we're going to see a stronger storm, since it's going to be closer to the ocean, to the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean. And it's going to be in an area where the air is warmer and there's a lot more humid air, and it's going to be able to absorb and bring a lot of that lighter air aloft into the center of circulation to strengthen this storm. So there's a lot of factors, there's a lot of questions. However, I will say with confidence, a low pressure will bring snow somewhere in the Northeast and the Midwest headed into next week and late this weekend. So the timing of this will be important. It either could come to the Northeast, I would say Monday, or maybe a little later, Tuesday to Wednesday. If the European model is right, the European is leaning towards bringing this storm onto the Northeast coast on Wednesday. So when we're talking about forecast time frame 7 days out, there's still a lot of uncertainty for the Northeast. However, if we're going by the GFS, then the storm should reach the Northeast by Monday. And for the GFS model, right around, it should reach the Midwest probably Sunday, compared to the European, where it's leaning towards bringing the storm to the north, to the Midwest Monday into Tuesday. So there's definitely big changes we need to keep in mind for the European and the GFS model. I wish I could give you guys a definitive answer of what is going to happen, but unfortunately computer models aren't that advanced yet to give forecasts that reliable and that certain. So we just have to wait over the next several days and see what happens. If there's just enough cold air, if there's just enough unstable air, the storm will move fast enough, and it might not dump as much snow, but it will still dump a lot of snow in the Northeast. However, if this storm moves slower, then the uncertainty level rises considerably, because when the storm moves slower, then the time it will take to reach New Jersey and the Midwest, it gets even more uncertain when we're talking about a storm 7 days out. So in the European, while it does lean towards a stronger storm if it's moved slower, and it will be more southward as a result of a lack of a jet stream dip, then so it will increase the precipitation in that scenario and maybe not bring as much snow as, let's say, the GFS, since the GFS is closer to a lot more cold air. But I'll say the potential with the European model's forecast is a lot higher for much more snow, since obviously the storm's stronger and a lot could go right and if there's just enough cold air, then this snowstorm could potentially be extremely major with over a foot in many areas. If there's just enough cold air, and that's a very big if, especially when we're talking about something 5 to 7 days from now. So we just have to wait and see if the GFS model's forecast was right in its scenario. Let's take a look at its forecasted snowfall accumulation. It is assuming 1 inch of rain equates to 10 inches of snow. You see that going into around 7 days from now, you see that the GFS is taking a large area of 6 to 12 inches throughout the northern United States, and this is the weaker solution compared to the European. While the GFS currently is predicting more snow than the European model, the European model has the higher potential of dumping more snow if there's just enough cold air, but the GFS is leaning towards more snow since there's enough cold air, and it's taking a large area of 6 to 12 inches from upstate New York all the way to Iowa and a lot of Wisconsin and the Great Lakes region in general. And just south of that, I would say a pretty good area of 2 to 4 inches for the most part throughout the mid-Atlantic and the coastal regions of the Northeast, and even Chicago is involved and Dakotas. And the rain snow line could definitely change depending on how far south that cold air goes, and that really depends on the ridge in the Canada. So we just have to wait and see. In terms of my forecast currently, I'm not giving any specific accumulation amount because I don't want to give you guys any false assumptions or any false forecasts when it comes to this storm, because we're still like many days out. As you can see, I put the timing of where the low pressure system should be located within a given time where I'm expecting the low pressure to be located somewhere in the Midwest on Sunday, and then somewhere right around the East Coast on Tuesday. And you see that in the pink, I'm expecting heavier snow. In the blue, I'm expecting moderate snow. However, I want to put a disclaimer that in the blue, that pretty much means you're very uncertain. You could either see some snow or no snow at all. While for the pinks, I would say it's a little more certain you guys will receive snow. However, it's still very uncertain. I would say the purple is more likely than not going to receive snow from this storm, and the pink should receive some heavier snow, and the heaviest snow should be in the darker purples, where I think up to a foot of snow is possible if the GFS model is correct. But there's still a lot of uncertainty. Please don't take this map as truth just yet, because it could change drastically. But this is just my rough estimate as of right now for this snowfall forecast. But in terms of anything else that's currently happening in the United States, for the most part, it's mainly quiet. We saw Santa Ana winds, unfortunately, enhance the wildfire risk in California. But the good news is that should end today as the slow pressure system moves further southward and then eventually eastward, and it will dump some rain over the southeast, so keep a watch of that. Let's take a look at the timing of this to show you guys when to expect rain. So Texas, already by tomorrow, you should expect some rain, especially central Texas, and then some thunderstorm activity through Southern California and Arizona. And then by early Thursday, that rain should extend to the southeast, and we might see a heavier bout of rain headed into late Thursday into early Friday through southeast. So definitely keep that in mind. And also, I want to point out that you might see some snow showers in the northeast that could dump maybe an inch or two of snow depending on your area, especially in the interior northeast, and maybe some snow in the mid-Atlantic or New York City metropolitan, but nothing major. I just wanted to point it out for this week. And then headed into the third day, there's a storm we're going to be tracking that could potentially be major in the northeast, and I'll make sure to give you guys updates all through this week regarding this snowstorm. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. And I hope you guys have a good day, a good night, a good morning whenever you're watching this.